That's one of the options being offered to jobless junior doctors, according to a leaked document by NHS managers. It's an effort to solve the crisis in recruitment over a controversial new computer system, which left more than 10,000 applicants without posts. The Health Secretary has already apologised over the debacle and announced a long-term review. But doctors aren't happy with these latest ideas, as our health correspondent Victoria McDonald now reports.
A spell volunteering in the African bush or in Indian villages considered life-enhancing, but not meant to be a solution to mass unemployment. Yet a leaked document reveals that the government has approached the charity VSO as it seeks a solution to the thousands of junior doctors who could be left unemployed following the training fiasco.
We were approached by the Department of Health for some information, and we shared some information with them about VSO's approach to volunteering, the sorts of medical professionals that we use, including doctors, and the sort of placements that we have available and where they fit.
This is just the latest controversy to hit the new Medical Training Application Service, or MTAS, a computer system launched in January to recruit junior doctors. Not only did it keep crashing and list the wrong jobs, it couldn't match the best candidates to vacancies, and there were more than 33,000 applications for just over 18,000 posts.
We don't work voluntarily for the NHS. Voluntary services work is something that has always been important in medical training, individually and as institutions as well, and many support trainees doing that. But to do it necessarily at the hands of an enforced measure to deal with the failed policy of this government.
In the House of Commons on Monday, the Health Secretary Patricia Hewitt was forced to issue an apology for the distress it's caused, but she denied thousands of juniors will be left unemployed.
Let me take the opportunity of referring to some thoroughly misleading statements that have been made in recent weeks about the prospect of thousands of junior doctors finding themselves without work. This is complete nonsense.
But the leaked document reveals officially for the first time the sheer scale of the problem. It was prepared by NHS employers who represent health service managers for the MTAS review group. There is, it says, an excess of applicants for training posts over places. 10,000 in fact. They go on to say this figure will reduce once clinical attachments or professional locums are taken out of the equation, but it says there is a range of doctors at risk. NHS employers said the leak was disappointing and added that there were many and wide-ranging issues being considered.
I think it's very worrying that that number of doctors may be at risk of not having a job in the NHS at all in August. And I think for the doctors themselves, they just want to know that they want to know two things: that they will have a job and that their training will be able to continue.
The British Medical Association and other junior doctors groups like Remedy UK are not going to let this lie. In fact, the BMA will be releasing figures next week to show just how many junior doctors are considering leaving the country if they don't get posts. That figure is expected to be worryingly high.
What do we want? Training! When do we want it? Now!
And the protest continues while the Department of Health today once again denied thousands of doctors will be unemployed. Ministers will next week face an opposition debate in Parliament on precisely this issue and will be expected to explain this latest figure of 10,000.
Well, the Health Minister, Lord Hunt, joins us now from Birmingham. Lord Hunt, the VSO has confirmed that an official from your department did speak to them about this idea. Are you really so desperate that you had to approach them about the idea of volunteering?
Look, there's always been competition for training places, as there ought to be, because we're talking about the future consultants and GPs. Patients would want to make sure that only the best doctors are selected for training. Of course, we want to ensure that those who are not successful will still be able to make a contribution. This paper is an early draft, not been seen by ministers, and the VSO option is not being taken forward, although of course junior doctors have always done some volunteering. What it's proposing are a number of range of measures: a clearinghouse, looking at further work experience, staff grade posts, and a number of other measures. That is surely what any sensible employer would wish to do.
But what it comes down to, the fact that you even considered asking VSO to take volunteers, is over the figure of how many junior doctors might be at risk of having no job. And Patricia Hewitt has always said the figure of thousands is absurd, and yet in this memo the figure 10,000 is mentioned, and the figure and the suggestion that they are at risk. I mean, that is tantamount to lying?
Absolutely not. Let me be clear. We have about 32,000 applications for 22,000 places. Some of those are coming from other EEA nationals, and many of them are actually working in the health service now and will continue to work in the future. So the idea of there being thousands upon thousands of junior doctors who will be out of work is not true, and the Secretary of State was absolutely right to say that.
No one is denying that many of these people maybe found some forms of training in some way, but the key issue is that 10,000 were at risk of not getting a position, and you're now trying to find a place for them. That's very different to saying there is an absurdity in claiming thousands could not get the training they wanted initially.
No, that wasn't what the Secretary of State said. She was referring to allegations of thousands of unemployed doctors. That's a very different matter. There's always been competition for these training posts. There should be. These are the top doctor posts in the country. We want there to be tough competition. But the programme that we're also looking at is helping those doctors who can make a contribution, who have not been successful, making sure that their contribution can also be recognised.
Right.
And that is what we're doing.
Lord Hunt, if I may briefly ask you, the Cash for Honours inquiry now goes to the CPS. It seems rather strange that Lord Goldsmith, who is a personal friend and confidant of the Prime Minister, is now going to be guiding the process and deciding whether prosecutions are brought. Don't you think he ought to just absent himself from the whole proceedings now?
This is a police matter. It's been passed to the Crown Prosecution Service. I don't think it's appropriate for me to make any other comment at all on it.
All right, Lord Hunt, thank you very much for speaking to us.
Thank you.